This is an All Ears English podcast, episode 948, How to Find Out What Makes Someone Tick in English.
Welcome to the All Ears English podcast, downloaded more than 50 million times. We believe in connection, not perfection, with your American hosts, Lindsay McMahon, the English adventurer, and Michelle Kaplan, the New York radio girl, coming to you from Boston and New York City, USA. And to get your transcripts delivered by email every week, go to allearsenglish.com/subscribe. People love to talk about themselves, and if you can figure out what they're passionate about, you can have a great English conversation. Today, get our two-step process for doing this in English. Hey there, Michelle. How you doing?
Hey, Lindsay. I'm good. How are you?
I am feeling excellent. And so what did you do over the weekend?
Well, over the weekend, I met up with a few different friends on Friday night and on Saturday who I hadn't seen in a while. So it was really nice to catch up with them. And yeah, I had a really good time. And then what else did I do? Oh, I went to Manhattan. I was in Manhattan on Sunday on the Upper West Side, and it was a lot of fun. How about you?
That's awesome. What did I do? I walked all over the city of Boston on Saturday. It was so fun. And on Saturday night, I actually went to a benefit event for kids soccer volunteers. I don't play soccer, but I know some people who do some volunteering around soccer. But it was actually a beer tasting contest. It was like a craft beer contest where they would fill your cups with 6 different kinds of craft beer per round, and you would judge your top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then it would be like a sports bracket where at the end you ended up with one beer at the top of the bracket.
Okay.
And it was cool. They had handouts like free beer.
Wait, so what was the contest though? Like
it was like which beer was the best tasting.
Like, I mean, based on like what other people believed also? Like,
yeah, kind of who, yeah. Actually, that's a good question. I don't know how I don't know.
No idea.
To be honest, I think by the end, people had been drinking a bit, so they didn't know what to write in the brackets.
What you were writing anymore. Yeah. That's really funny.
But it was a fun time.
That sounds like fun.
It was really fun. The spirit was just like in helping the volunteer group and having some good drinks. But, you know, I actually met a few people that it was a good situation for me because I met friends of friends who I sort of knew. I had met a couple of times, but I had a chance to kind of go deeper with them and get to know them a little bit better.
That's really good. Yeah. So like, do you think like you made any new friendships or how did that go?
Maybe. I mean, so just the idea of just kind of letting, so the question is like, what is the secret to a good conversation here in these types of situations, right? With this particular event, there was a lot of downtime where we were waiting for them to come and pour the beers, a lot of downtime. You kind of had to chat with people. And so what makes for an interesting conversation in these kinds of situations, Michelle? What do you think?
Well, it's a good thing you have alcohol because that probably helped.
That helped.
But yeah, I mean, I guess I feel like a good way to have a conversation is to ask a lot of questions.
Yeah.
I was actually just talking with a group of students about this. I think asking questions is key. What do you think, Lindsay?
Yeah, I agree with you. But what kinds of questions, right? It's all about the kinds of questions we're asking, right? Like, are we talking about like the weather? Are we talking, what are we talking about here?
No, you want people to have the chance to talk about themselves. People love to talk about themselves.
Exactly. I really think so. It's kind of like the secret to, it's the big secret that we all figure out as we get better at conversation. Everyone just loves to talk about themselves, and that's fine, but we can use that as kind of a hack or a trick. We know that, right?
Right. Yeah. So like the more you can get them to talk about especially like what they're interested in, right?
Yes.
Then they'll get really excited and really like you.
Yeah. And I'm super excited, Michelle, for today's episode because we're going to teach our listeners a special edge. And many of our listeners probably already know this in their own language, but we're going to make it specific to English and to American culture. All right. So
awesome.
So if any of our listeners are here in the US or in another English speaking country, they're going to be able to do this in English. All right. So Michelle, I like how you said, figure out what they're interested in. Is that what you mentioned before?
Right. Like, what are their passions, right? What are their hobbies? What do they love to talk about?
Yeah. And I want to teach our listeners a new phrase that says something similar, right? And what is that phrase? It's what makes the person what?
Tick, like a clock.
Tick, like a bug? Like the tick, like ticks?
Yeah, like a bug or like a clock, like tick tock, tick tock.
Tick, tick. Such a weird phrase, right? What makes them tick? And that is the phrase we want to teach you guys today. And we're going to show you how to do this. But really, Michelle, before we dive into that, actually, I want to call out the names of some of the people, listeners who reviewed us, who reviewed our new app.
Some of the people listeners.
The App Store. Yeah. Some of our listeners. Sorry.
Okay. No, it just sounded funny. Like, as opposed to the dog listeners.
No. So sometimes on the mic, we lose our words here, right?
No, it just made me laugh because I'm just imagining all the different types of listeners. The people ones, maybe some pets listen. Maybe they like it.
Hey, it's possible that someone has like a golden retriever or a Dalmatian out there. I'm hoping to get a dog one of these days, and I'm sure that my dog will also listen to the podcast, right?
Oh yeah, of course. All right. Anyway, sorry. I had to. Yeah.
You had to take that. It was low-hanging fruit.
Okay.
So real quick, I just want to yell out a special thank you to Ji-Yu from Korea. A special thank you to Wagner Nascimento from the U.S., from Rokyo-kun from Japan, to Pattaya Root from Taiwan, Donald from the U.S., Rose Raspberry from Japan, Rodriguez 26 from Brazil, and it's Jing Yi from China, Hirotani from Japan, and Iliago from Spain. You guys reviewed the app in the App Store at allearsenglish.com/bonuses. So thank you so much, guys, for your reviews.
Thank you so much. And Rose Raspberry, that's like such a refreshing, that's like so refreshing.
I know it sounds like summer, right? Doesn't it make you want to like have a glass of lemonade or something?
Exactly. I thought of lemonade too, which is funny because the name lemonade is not in there, but it just makes me feel like summer. So Rose Raspberry, very cool name.
Very cool name. Guys, go on over and review us. Start listening to this podcast inside the app, because very soon we're going to have a search bar right inside the app. So you can search for different episodes, and you can't do that in the podcast apps very much. So go to allearsenglish.com/bonuses to get the app. All right, cool. All right. So Michelle, going back to this idea, finding out what makes the person tick, what are some other ways to say this?
All right. Well, so finding out like what they get excited about, right?
Yeah.
Or what they love to talk about. What else, Lindsay?
I mean, if we're thinking of it from a perspective of like our work, because some people are super passionate about their work, it's where they add value in the world. Like, what are they doing? You know, what keeps them up at night? I love that expression.
Right. What keeps them up at night? That can be a good thing or a bad thing.
It could. Yeah. I think in general, what we're getting at here is more like, what problem in the world bothers them so much that they are taking action to solve it? Right.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah. Like, for example, on this show, the problem that keeps us up at night is the idea that people might not be able to connect due to a language. We want to make sure everyone around the world can connect through English and no one feels disconnected, right? And outside of a circle. That is our core problem that we're trying to solve here. Okay.
Of course. Awesome.
Yeah. What else, Michelle? There's some cool ways to say this before we jump into how to do it.
I see what they nerd out on. I think I don't say nerd out. I say geek out. Maybe that's
geek out. Let's add that to the list.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if that was like a New York thing or.
No. I like that. What they geek out on. So just, for example, my dad, he's an optometrist and he's so passionate about eyes. When I was like 7 or 8, he would bring home these books full of images of eye diseases.
Oh my gosh.
And he was so nerdy. Like, he'd be like, oh, look at this. It's all bloody. This is so cool.
Oh my gosh. That's so funny. You didn't want to be an optometrist?
No way. So that's what my dad still nerds out on and used to nerd out on or geek out on, right? So these are ways to say that we're interested in something. And I hope that everyone can find this thing that we are so excited about that we nerd out on it all the time.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Geek out on. Yeah, I love it.
Or on this show, we've talked about a phrase. And what was that phrase, Michelle? When we talk about a unique ability.
Your zone of genius.
Oh, yeah. And this could be related. It might not be the same thing, but it could be very related, right? Because usually the thing that we care most about is also related to our greatest strength. So,
yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. So like, yeah, or we talked about solving a big problem, right? I don't know, just any problem that you're interested in, right?
Exactly, Michelle. And in this case, I'm wondering if in your conversations in Manhattan this week, if you came upon this, in many cases, it's not just the person's job. Maybe they have a job like they're working as an accountant and maybe they don't feel super passionate about it. But on the weekends, they teach kids with learning disabilities or they work on cleaning up the city parks. And maybe that's what makes them tick, right? It's not always just the work.
Right. Yeah, not everybody has a job that they're like super, super passionate about. They do it, and they come home, but then they have something else, and that's fine too.
Exactly. So guys, today's episode, we're going to show you how to get to this and how to drill down deeper to really ultimately connect with that person and for them to keep wanting to talk to you, right? Because, oh my God, I've been in parties where I feel awkward. Like I feel like maybe I'm doing something wrong or I feel like I'm a bit off and nobody wants to talk to me. It's so strange that feeling, I'm just not like getting traction in conversations. And it's usually because I'm not looking for what makes someone tick. Have you ever had that experience?
Yeah, I think it depends what mood you're in, how chatty of a mood you're in, like how comfortable you are, how many people there are, what time it is, are you tired? It's like so many things depend on that. But I like what you talk about is like, trying to solve this by finding out what makes people tick. So let's get to it.
I love it. Yeah. And just to introduce the context, guys, this is really best for one-on-one conversations, right? When, the party is small enough or the event is small enough that people are turning to each other, right? Generally in a one-to-one sense. And, people are moving around the room, but people do stick in groups of two and they talk for quite a bit of time. That's the right context for this framework. Okay, cool. All right.
Right. Fantastic.
So Michelle, this phrase tick to tick, I mean, do we use that alone? Just do we say do we use it beyond this phrase, what makes you tick? It's kind of strange by itself.
No, it's always makes you tick. And then of course there are the other, definitions of tick. But like for this one, I wouldn't say like, yeah, it ticks me or something like there are, there are other uses of it and we could do another episode about this, but I feel like it's always like makes someone tick.
Exactly. So that's kind of a chunk we want to encourage our listeners to remember, guys. So write that down today as one of your key phrases that you want to remember and go and get the transcripts. You want to see all the words that we're using today. So go to allearsenglish.com/subscribe. So Michelle, again, what's our goal in any conversation in this kind of setup?
It's to find out what makes the person tick. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what we're trying to do. Yeah.
Exactly. And so, yeah, we know that people like to talk about themselves. And if we put this into action, people are actually going to feel more connected to you. Isn't that kind of ironic that people like to talk about themselves? And if you allow them to do that, they feel more connected to you.
Right. It is kind of a weird mind game.
It's a weird mind game. Do you know anyone in your life who just really fundamentally understands this and does this really well?
I can't think of anybody off the top of my head. Do you?
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned my dad earlier that he nerds out on eyes. He's also really good just outside of his zone of genius. He's also really good at doing this. Like he understands this on a deep level. And that's actually why he built a successful business as an eye care practitioner, because people come in to get their eyes checked, but they don't just want to get their eyes checked, or they want to connect with a human being, right? And that's what my dad does really well, actually.
Right. Well, that's important for that profession.
There are 5 reasons that the Urban Immersion Adventure builds real confidence. You speak with natives, you're 100% immersed in English, you see the city like a local, you're a part of an amazing group of students, and you get a 1-to-1 evaluation at the end. But spots are running out, so go and apply now, guys, for the New York City or the Boston version of this program for summer 2018. Go to allearsenglish.com/immersion. allearsenglish.com/IMMERSION. Yeah. Okay. So let's dive into it, Michelle. So what is this 2-step process then? Let's give our listeners an overview before we go into it.
Okay. So we have a 2-step process to build a great conversation. Step 1 is find out what makes them tick.
Yeah.
And step 2 is drill down.
Okay. Tell us more.
All right. So, you want to find out what the person is interested in, and then you basically want to keep on asking them more specific questions about it.
Exactly.
So, like, what if we know that our goal is to find out what makes the person tick? So how can we do that, Lindsay?
Yeah, so I was talking to a student in Japan, one of our VIP students in our Tokyo Power English weekend, and we came up with this idea of a web in our mind, right? A web that allows us to go out into different questions, and these questions are designed to get to the thing that makes them tick. So the first step is finding that thing, and we have to jump around to try to find it, right? So, and what kind of words would those be to start off the question, Michelle?
Well, words, the WH questions, like...
Yeah, what are those?
Who, what, when, where, why, and then this is not WH, but how.
Yeah, exactly. And I like them because these can be open-ended. Like you can make them, open-ended questions are the best kind, right?
Right. Oh, for sure. Because anybody can just answer a yes or no question by saying yes or no, and that's the end of it, right?
And that could happen if we're nervous, right?
Oh, yeah. Yes. So these are really good question words, right, guys?
Yeah. And the other cool thing about this framework, Michelle, that I'm thinking right now is that if we're doing this, if we are really kind of focusing on finding their zone of genius or what they nerd out on, then we forget to be nervous because we actually have kind of a task. We have something we're going for in the conversation.
Right. Yeah, you kind of like have a list of ideas and different things. Like, so you're just going around like you're investigating.
Yeah, so cool. Well, let's put this into reality here, Michelle. Let's do a little role play and show our listeners how it's done, okay?
Okay.
All right. So, hey, I'm Lindsay.
Hey, I'm Michelle.
So how do you know Jim?
Oh, I went to college with him.
Oh, yeah? Oh, where'd you go to college?
I went to Georgetown.
Oh, cool. How'd you pick that school?
They have a really great interpretive dance department.
Oh, cool. So you're into dancing.
Yeah, I love dancing. Yeah, I'm a big dancer.
Oh my God. How long have you been doing it?
Oh, since I was little. Yeah, I grew up dancing, and then I decided that I wanted to go for that in school, and yeah, I still dance today. It's just so much fun. Do you dance at all?
Oh, I don't do much. I've tried it before. I tried capoeira and and I've tried Zumba a few times. But I'm not the most coordinated person, to be honest.
That's cool. Well, you don't have to be that coordinated.
No? Okay.
No, you do your thing. You can always take more classes. It's fun though, but just do it. Just do it and enjoy it, and that's where the fun comes from. That's what I always say.
Awesome. Okay, so that was a really cool conversation there.
I have
Michelle,
no idea what I was talking about.
Yeah, you were just making it up because we found the thing that makes you tick, right? And what is that?
Apparently for me, it's interpretive dance.
Yeah, dancing. And that doesn't mean that now that I've found that in you, I'm going to just ask you questions. You're going to ask me questions too. You're going to see if I have any connection to dancing as well, right? So it's not just going to be like boom, boom, boom questions at you. But I think once we get to something that's interesting to the person you're talking to, they're also going to like that conversation.
Oh, right. For sure. I think, yeah, just developing those, it just gives you like a bouncing off point. So like,
exactly.
You're asking, you sound really interesting in my dance experience. So I'm like, oh, well, why is she so interested? Maybe she's done some dancing. What is her, it makes me wonder about you as well.
Oh, yeah, this makes such a better conversation because otherwise we really don't know where to go. So what words did we use first to look for your interest or your passion? I mean, what did I say, Michelle?
Okay. Well, first you actually asked about this guy, Jim. So you said, how do you know Jim?
Yeah.
Right?
So how do you know Jim? Good. Yep.
I said I went to college with him. Okay. Where'd you go to college? Where'd you go to college? Right?
Where'd you go? Yeah. Exactly.
And then I said I went to Georgetown. Oh, cool. How'd you pick that school?
Yeah, and you guys should really make sure you get our transcripts today because we're going to show you this role play inside the transcripts, and you're going to see how we don't say, where did you go to college? We said, where'd you go to college? And how'd you pick that school? Right, guys? So this is what you want to be listening to when you're listening to native English. You're not listening for how did you? We're listening for how'd you? How'd you pick that school? What do you think, Michelle?
Yeah, for sure. Very natural sounding.
Yeah, I love that. So that's what we did. And then finally, we figured out that I figured out that dance is something that you're really into. All right. Mm-hmm. And then how did the conversation again, Michelle, how did it feel? It took like a momentum of its own, didn't it?
Yeah. Because then you started asking how long I've been dancing. And of course, that makes me tick. So I'm telling you, I used to dance when I was little. Then I decided to go to school. And now I'm still, and I still dance today. So that's kind of where it went. And then I started asking about you.
Exactly. And then I think the next step that I would take in that conversation, to really get a good conversation going is I might expand it out and ask you about dancing in a different sense. Not so much about your own experience, but broaden it out to like dancing. Maybe there's something in the news, or maybe there's a new dance on Broadway or a new show. Maybe there's something controversial or something I've seen. And this is where, guys, it's so important to be taking in media, right? Taking in like input, go to Broadway plays if you live in New York. Listen to podcasts, watch movies. That's so important. You could ask the person about the movie Dirty Dancing, right? Right. Movie from the 80s. Yeah. Lots of things we could do. What else would you do there in that case, Michelle, if you were in my position?
Well, what else could I do? Just ask them. Maybe they take a cool dance class around this area, or maybe like what are your favorite places to see dance around here, or like is there a show that you think I should see? I really want to see a good dance show. Recommendations, right?
Yeah, recommendations. That's a good point. Actually, recommendations for classes or shows. That's perfect. Love that. Awesome. So, Michelle, what is the takeaway for today for our listeners then?
Well, the takeaway is, guys, one of the best ways to have an awesome conversation is to figure out what makes people tick, because everybody feels passionate about something and people like to talk about themselves, right? And the weird thing though is that people will think that you are interesting if you let them talk about themselves or about their thing. So that's kind of weird, but I think it's just human nature.
Yeah, exactly. And everyone feels passionate about something. You just need to find it, as Michelle said, right? I love that. I mean, gosh, even just in my family, I could tell you, if you start talking to my mom, she's so passionate about early childhood development. She's a child psychologist, or she was. So when she starts talking about childhood development, the way children develop socially and emotionally as at a young age, she doesn't stop. And so she loves talking about that. So to really get to know someone, find out about what they love.
That's really interesting. Yes, exactly. Yeah, guys. And we showed you a 2-step system, right? So we talked about looking for the passion and then drilling down, right? And we also talked about this web, the who, what, when, where, why, how. And that can help lead you on your conversations, make you less nervous, give you direction.
Yeah. And as you said, Michelle, make you less nervous because it takes you out of your own head and gives you kind of a mission in your conversation, right? It's something you're going for, something you're trying to figure out. So cool. Right. So cool.
Love it.
Wow, love it. Guys, so come back to our blog, allearsenglish.com, type 948 in the search bar and tell us what you thought about today's episode. Was it helpful? When we're learning a new language, we still need these skills to connect, right? We want to make sure you guys feel connected at the next party you go to. Okay, cool.
For sure.
And yeah, awesome. Michelle, this has been a good topic. And I want to remind our listeners, guys, if you're taking the IELTS exam this year, go and subscribe to the IELTS Energy podcast. It's the best way to get the info that you need and the strategies that'll get you to 7 or higher. Cool. Michelle, we are out of here for today. Thanks for hanging out.
Thank you, Lindsay. Bye, guys. Beep. Oh, my God. All right. What a way to end the episode by messing it up. Okay. All right.
You didn't mess it up. You're fine. You're fine.
All right. On that note, goodbye, everyone.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much for listening to All Ears English. And if you need a 7 or higher on your IELTS exam to achieve your life vision, then our Insider Method can get you there. Start with our free video series masterclass. Get video one now at allearsenglish.com/INSIDER. And if you believe in connection, not perfection, then subscribe to our show on your phone or on your computer. See you next time.